don't have a presentation. I want to walk you through the project today. So also, we've had a couple, you may not believe this. Now audience, is a little bit of a shock, but some of our OWASP speakers have gone over their time, a little long on the tooth, myself as well. So I'm going to do a shorter version of this because this is a documentation project. It's a little more open. This is the OWASP cheat sheet series. Again, this started with Eric Sheridan and Jeff Williams, who wrote this cross-site request forgery cheat sheet and the original XSS prevention cheat sheet, one of the most heavily hit pages in OWASP history. And when I was an OWASP volunteer over like 15 years ago, I'm like, this is some great material. We should do more of this. So I began to expand that series with the help of many other people. And so this recent version of it, about 2 years ago, I stepped away from the project and brought in some other leaders, and they rewrote the infrastructure of the project, moving it from the old OWASP wiki to its own website and GitHub and automation. Alar Lang is a big part of that. He's left the project. He helps a little bit, but Alar Lang helped rebuild our infrastructure at the cheat sheet series. Jacob Markowski he's like the cheat sheet series Buddha. All I'm saying is this is such an active product. There are so many people involved, hundreds of people involved. Leadership has changed a few times. It's a little chaotic at times. And Jacob is like the Buddha who sits there and gets work done and helps promote the project. So Jacob is the co-lead of this project right now. And I'm sorry he can't be here right now. I wish he was here, but Jacob's very calm and peaceful and constantly supportive work is instrumental to keeping the project rolling. Who should be on this list is Alar Lang. He rewrote our infrastructure to automate the editing and the creation of the site via scripting. And Alar, you did a great job maturing the cheat sheet series. When I came back to the series, I made some really big and bold changes that upset some of the previous volunteers. I regret that. I felt it was necessary intellectually. There's always better ways to go about the process. So as the leader, I learned how to be a better leader along the way. And I just want to say thank you to all the previous volunteers who got us this far. So let's look at some of this, right? So here's the OWASP cheat sheet series. This is basically another wiki inside of our wiki where we're maintaining each and every one of these pages with strong editorial leadership and individual maintenance of each of these cheat sheets by a little sub-team. Some of the more active ones are like the authentication cheat sheet. And you can see how big this is, right? This is a supplementary to the ASVS requirements with more detail. So someone who works on, for example, we talked about the ASVS standard a while back, and we want a companion guide to explain the details. And my vision is we have an ASVS requirement that's 1 or 2 sentences and a cheat sheet series page that expands that requirement into details. Or we can point to other wiki pages that are being maintained in the community section of the OWASP wiki as well. And so let's look a little bit behind the scenes here. Everything we're doing at the cheat sheet series is in GitHub. If you want to volunteer, this is where you want to be. You want to be in fact, let me walk through this. You want to be in the GitHub of the cheat sheet series, go to the cheat sheet page, and there they all are. And you can see we've had edits in the last month. We've had edits 7 minutes ago. That's what I'm doing. I'm sitting here getting my backlog cleaned up. So in each of these cheat sheets is managed independently. When I sometimes commit to mastering and get yelled at, and that's okay. We have enough people eyeballing this where changes are reviewed by the community, even when I least expect them to. And so what I'm doing right now is with Jacob is, and there we go. There's one of our other cheat sheets. Yeah, we first wrote, for example, the access control cheat sheet, and I'm in the process of redirecting that to the authorization cheat sheet, a recent contribution that rewrote that whole page. So I'm migrating that one over. What else do we? And here I am fixing my bad wiki markup. All right, there we go. So if you look at these individual cheat sheets, this project has gone through an ebb and flow. The ebb is we keep adding detail to the cheat sheets, and then I remind folks that it's a cheat sheet, and I try to remove information that's extraneous. Our goal here is not to be a full comprehensive discussion on each topic. It's really meant to be a cheat where if you're new at say cross-site request forgery, the cross-site request, not cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery prevention cheat sheet. And like reading this once should in a concise way give you a complete discourse on this topic. So all I ask, dive into the cheat sheet series, read the guide, pass the word to other developers. There's hundreds of cheat sheets on secure coding, which is the main topic of this. Defense. There's a few attack cheat sheets, but 95+%, these are cheat sheets on how to prevent certain problems. And my goal is for you to hand this one-page guide to a developer, and they have a good idea of what the vulnerability is and really how to stop it in a complete way. I'm going to end early, right? If you have questions on the cheat sheet series, you can see me in Slack. You can email me at jim@owasp.org. You can just dive into the cheat sheet series GitHub and start submitting PRs and issues. I'm really flexible. I want to take your volunteer work any way we can. There's strong process, but you can just send me an email and I'll take care of it for you if you don't want to do it yourself. Any way that you can contribute to enhance these cheat sheets, I think it's going to help the foundation and the AppSec community in some way. Hey, I want to drill down into one thing though. I just made this change recently, and just to show you how we're trying to describe some of the complexity, I'm going to show you two cheat sheets. Here's the summary for request forgery. Number one, if your framework has built-in CSRF protection, use that. That's usually your best step. Number two, if you have stateful web session software, use Synchronizer token. If you have stateless API software that uses a web front end, that's where the double submit cookie pattern shines. And I recommend that use same site. You're probably using it whether you like it or not. It's default in Chromium now, in Chrome and many other browsers. So if you don't set the same site cookie, it's going to be labeled as it's going to be lax. And if you want to remove it, you got to double set a cookie. You got to set a cookie with same site none and set a cookie with no same site attribute, the same double setting, or it's not going to work in all browsers. That's Google suggestions on the same site cookie attribute when you want to support older browsers. Also, re-authentication helps any feature. The use of like origin-based or a referrer-based header verification, we accept that. I'm not recommending that so much anymore, and I'll remove it eventually. But you can look at the origin or refer headers to make sure it came from the right origin, and that can be spoofed, by the way, of course. Remember, cross-site scripting, it can be used to defeat all CSRF, so you got to be bulletproof from XSS. Fixing CSRF is pretty easy. Fixing XSS is brutally hard to get right. And also, don't use GET for state-changing operations. Let me go over one more cheat sheet as well. I'm going to go look at the password storage cheat sheet. And there's a little bit of controversy here. I Manico this one. I kind of put, even though several folks were complaining about my changes, I pushed this one through. It's part of my job as an editor, not to do it in a mean way, but I went and worked with the Hashcat team, talked to Scoob, one of the main mathematicians, and got his advice on how to tune password storage algorithms. And he disagreed with the IETF, who has their own recommendations in the IETF password storage recommendation guide. And he showed me his math, and a few people backed him up. So based on the Hashcat team's work, who's Hashcat? The main open source password cracking software of the planet, the best of the breed are part of that team. Jerry Gosney and a few others helped make this happen. Let's look at this. This is my advice and the cheat sheet series advice on how to store a password. Number one, Argon 2 ID is what you should be using with a minimum of 15 megs of memory, iteration counted to 1 degree of parallelism, minimal. Argon 2i is not available. Go ahead and use bcrypt with a work factor of 10 or more, but it's got a 72-byte limit, and you're going to pre-hash? Bad idea. You got to block, and you got to count 72 bytes in your password? That's hard to do. You don't know how many bytes a character is per se in every language easily. So I say stop using bcrypt. It's a junk algorithm. I'm sorry, it is, folks. Stop it. Stop this bcrypt madness that everyone needs to do. Instead, use Argon 2 ID. Yeah. Okay. And if bcrypt's not available or you're using scrypt for legacy, minimum CPU 2 to the 16, minimum block size of 1024 bytes, and parallelism parameter of 1. If you got a federal government, U.S. government, sorry, Europeans, U.S. federal government compliance, FIPS 140, use PBKF2 with 310,000 iterations or an HMAC of 256. If you're going to use a different internal hasher, there's your minimum iteration count. It's math. So I really think that the password storage cheat sheet has migrated to the point where we're giving really specific recommendations to help developers write secure code. That's why the cheat sheet series exists. If you have a question for me, I'm easy to find. I'm jim@owasp.org. I will take your volunteerism any way you want to deliver it. And we appreciate all of your support, contribution, and involvement in the OWASP Foundation. Also, OWASP survives on your donation. While you're here today, this is a free conference. Spent a lot of money to put this on. So any kind of financial donation, becoming a member, becoming a corporate sponsor, or just giving us money because we are a 501c3 not-for-profit charitable organization, your support is how we keep the foundation running. And we appreciate all of your help. I'm done with my talk. And again, if you have questions for me, you can find me at jim@owasp.org. And I give the remaining part of my time back to the Congress for the next speaker to make up some time for our conference today. Thank you so much, everybody. Rock on.